The young guys na omoba politics ni mo na ye di ratio mu medical ka say omunu disache nkokrafo
Lemwaju mu akwa about the Godson TV Global Anumere nsem na aba no emotion ni nyina ya Al-Wahab Farouk international diplomatic consultant papa ne nkomo bio bedi bia me de kire say and the dissections are very accurate o kan okren so na ninsem a waka na nsen akofa NPP on mobile elections e course so ajusu ye eno achi no aba house no say Ghana politicians omo bi din nya bi na ko bi di obebo ni din senye bayi enye krono mro so a eye den ena obi be wini primaries as a candidate for a political party na obetu shiri o kosoma ya selfless ayi na o koye o ko volunteer ade nko ano mo pe na de tene se uze na nzen na honorable Kingsley Nyako kwara so mbi allegedly na almost o chiska me envelope a o chichi na no me hwe video na aniwu na o hen tra wo twa kofi ado me busa ne se na na de na envelope nim ho de no skip it nsem no basa and enye news o we afini e bedwuna de we hu na di presidential e kra mo call ye kra no mo delegates about be kan 400 Ghana ho asem e okruma obi si menya bi ajosu die nkrofo e interviews e kirem menya 100 cities obi si menya 50 million e ho nsem bebre we ne wanwan ne sen enenye ne nko ha prof men's time ni nyina na yetete omdi sika 50 cities share matches box mu ni nyina yetete ayade a mo a em say allegedly moye aha ndi o we na nyade e woma eno say ebinum akọ preposition wa aban mu a eyem rahye bedwafie so person be MP na wenya okọ primaries ya nto ama no a na koma ode awu because obi timi ko gi loan $2 million $3 million our bank tonton ni nyapade bebre se obeso be MP obetu sika ni nyina pete no na yansa nto ama no oni kwan bi obefa so a obenya se sika no ama ba ko bi ne yere gya no because okope bosin ade kokko pre-parliamentary seat a wanya otonton japade fi aka omutim honorable betona na yere se wompene o de akokko ta gifie ne masese mi no ka say the alleged honorable the supposed honorable no say ne yonku bi na ama ne dan single room and odem o ye kura nya stroke e kapa ntubu ono mo beba no wanya the following obeba no o de ka on animentu onya pe onya seed na ye ka no obete oni bibia o ye bio na nsem a Al-Wahab Farouk aka no kotie na sikara ehye because won say so we betimi agebosia $2 million $3 million so de kwa kopre position aban mu na wo wi a ebe Ghana ha pa obede no anya se scan e de nko a na omo ye Al-Wahab a chire na aka nzem nyina $2 million it's around 260 billion yeah is ana ebe kan 260 billion na ebisa aka ho 3 what so be so MP in 7 narrative ni nyina chirechire bi BM on the Godson TV na de ko tie nsem no ti nkomo no happy FM nkomo boy e dey Al-Wahab ne hons komo ba pe e be mo TV because papa no nkomo e dade sua wo doctor ni mo ni wa scientific haba hospital boy yare ne yamo anu aduro visa immediate traveling a visa before payment medina de Alexis the Godson big Sam in Judicial. Thank you.
my advice, say, young Sushino, young Koshim. One, me say, say two cruise. Yama yen jai, yenya grand coalition government. Country way a bigger, richer than any country in the world.
Yenya MPP and this is
a country is supposed to have a democratic dispensation, and for that matter, electoral system, for that matter, presidential elections. But CIL, yama yenya grand, ya admit yenya grand coalition parties. Yemfa yenya grand coalition.
Ya
to abewie. Ya call parliament. You were 80% waha. You were 60% or 40. Womunya day government. You have the same numbers. No. Yenya ne sam from government.
Nana dunya 52.1.
Exactly.
And this in 44.1. So informing the government, we must have a representation. The percentage awunya no. And this is for Monfa a year 4% no.
Building a nation. We call it building a nation.
Ministry of Fisheries, Ministry of Agric, Ministry of this, local government.
And solid.
None can perform enough for defense, finance, interior.
The system corrects itself. The corruption is checked by itself. Majority say, but yet they know, we do not do like that. Until majority takes all. Until when it is a band, it is a
winner takes all.
Winner takes all. No, a bay train, Zion train. Until so we bibia, nobody seems to advise them.
Meanwhile, I didn't PP and a Hodi defense, a Hodi finance.
Yep.
Na NDC, a Hodi a Greek fish. Oya quickly, Obi because Ebema Nabaya you're unpopular.
Obaba Bachinatum.
One channel to so person finding unpopular, you know.
Yes.
Obeliki document America.
Next election, people will see say no. We know how you are gentleman. So at the end of the day, you have a balance. In America for that. That's why you see the United States, they vote on merit on issues on your work. In the Senate, so you're Republican, they don't care. So Obama no to the Senate Republican. They want a balance and they vote on your work. No President Netas no forming the government nipa 120 na ono ani chest.
No apamobia. Including omomti toilet so.
What?
Omti tool.
Yes, and he said ye jasa de na. We leave service civil servants obi a oye what in the baby. Ne am so anoko. And you want to mean change and move people around just like that. But this system, we have to make sure say, everybody must leave, so that we all.
So after 8 years, hungry people come in and amass wealth.
Instead, your friend shift in wealth, not shift in development. Into development agenda does not follow. We don't continue because we have to shift the wealth. If we continue the agenda now, the money is following the agenda of what the other one started. But because we want to shift wealth, these people must also leave. So you have to create another wealth near the chase cannon. Yes, simple as that. Shift in wealth, not shift in development. And it gives us a very huge setback. All the time, you draw country in the back instead of moving the country ahead.
Do you foresee any day this thing will change?
The day that will change, that the changes can take place, where one. Somebody said, you're for youth president. Say, oh, wow, so will be president.
Me moi me was me the president, baby. Implement to us a for the crew.
There is a man for the youth presidency. And Kenya bad, a fatal, also TikTok black with beard. What I say? A mindset.
Okay.
A mindset. And I make say, so politicians, who country ni mobo, no who nipe wo mobo, say Wo drive now do traffic light. Now share a ma omeja omuma at the side of the road. Our motor dear now mano the idea grow ha. It is so sad. Ever sad do.
For this bunch of politicians, I barely think they will ever see that and recognize it. People have been calling for a third force. A quiet force, you mean a third force. Now yet to me the room. Is there any day we foresee that there will be a third force in this country? How can we do it?
Okay. I believe the third force you are trying, you all refer to, say, you will be party B are also very stronger to say MPP and NDC. I think I'm correct, right?
Right.
In our times, what I do know and say, after every 25 years, call it 30 years or 35 years, parties in Africa, it winds down or it gets weaker. So there will be a change. The change is that said, in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, NDC, both of them would have divisions. Quote it and quote me. MPP, NDC. The establishment, a generational movement. The Victor part of MPP at that time, in the column in the years of Liman's time, 80s.
The 79s.
The 79s, giving way up to Aduwahin.
Which is Victor Usu Kwame.
Yes.
And Pauli,
those and coming up.
Okay.
Up to President Kufuor. Now President Kufuor to Nanado. So you see, sir, a certain divisions, whether you like it or not, it is not their making. It is the making of the time. And then you call it the branches. So the parties will still stand as one tree. But there will be branches. And when there is a branch, depending on the gravity, the strength now, it is like the power of a wind blowing, and a bit breaking the branch of a certain tree. And when there's a break here, MPP, NDC will face the same fate. Because post President Mama, where even in case, I would say, said, President Mama didn't build, in my view, too much or any of a kind of political children.
He doesn't have political best.
No best.
You have political best, I just say.
That you can see the focus of an outgoing president say, Nipa we, ena se mini ho succeed me and come president.
Succession plan.
Yeah, yes, I won't say that, but we show you who ye. What you say? Yes. Anything there will be after the group, the Ahoys, the President Mamas, the Siedun Ketias, all of them are virtue of natural disarmament. They'll be aged, they'll be old, they'll be tired. Can't be like that forever. They will step aside. Now they need the host, the Blackwell, the Sam George, and others. The new NDC will emerge. That time, the President Rollins and the NDC old, would have phased out. When it becomes to that point now, it is the youth of this side and youth of that side, Happy FM. Gravitations will take place. There will be pressure. So when there is a slight misunderstanding, they will divide. In any case, let us not forget, sir, it was a party existing before. It's like CPP. Where is CPP? CPP is grounded forever. They will try to keep the name CPP alive. One PP will be the same, NDC will be the same. There will be a reemergence of a new party. Now, the third force of our time that we're looking for, if you look at Mr. Indum, Pakwesi Indum, he made a great mistake. at that time, because he knew for sure, and the system and the two parties, their strength, their weight, wouldn't give him the chance for any third force to slip through and become and win presidency in this country in the next 10 years, not in the next 15 years. However, if at that time the energies were spent on the money, the power, the ability, no one, send the sponsor MPs and Odom for parliamentary, he would have had about 10 parliamentarians. If he had about 10 parliamentarians, that would have been the beginning of loosening up the so-called majority. What does it tell you? What it tells you is that NDC will struggle to have the majority, MPP will struggle to have the majority. In that case, they will listen. So the middle belt, that would have been the third force, will stand in and kick against. So nobody will be granted that easy access of majority takes all and the decision in parliament. So you have to lobby, or you have to go there and then seek to lobby. The third force suggestion, or what foreseen, is that if from anywhere that any political party would come and that party would not rush claiming to go to presidency, that will not happen now, but rather target, looking at the service MPC Okrom Haye, looking at poor worker constituency, looking at arrogance constituency, looking at say yama ministerial post, any lack of performance. Are you getting me? If we do that, let's say any party, be grassroots party, be so there, they are not prepared to go into government, but they are prepared to go to parliament. And then also, if Ghanaian individuals are prepared to go independent, this country, that is what we think this country. The dynamics of what you are all of us are seeking for. Good governance, devoid of
we should stop always thinking in the line, say,
in the line.
MPP primaries and MP.
Independent candidates.
We should get a lot of independent candidates in the system.
Who will stand toe to toe, a free and them, and they and a free. And what Yaka says, a Ghana parliament of 270 or more parliamentarians, and you obey 50 independent. And I say, PPP will be, PMP will be. But I had the other crown. Parties in Ukraine or
I walk on quiet. MPP and this phone is our small.
Oh, man, as I told you, you are in solidarity. When you was a minion, we are in support. What you say? Say, Benya, sir, independent candidates. Again, I'm challenging also the youth in this country. Sir, the time has come. It doesn't take only as we think is the only money, because the electors have no alternative. So they'll collect money and vote. But when they see somebody in their neighborhood, a youthful, a vibrant guy, like you, like him, like any other person else, now I calculated the agenda to lead the community and go to parliament. He will be neutral, he will be independent. The people might surprise. The presidency, they will vote for the bigger party, of course. But we'll see surprises and changes in the parliament. Until that is done, we have a problem. But if that is, we're able to do that and have changes, the root cause is the parliament. Because the president hasn't got a challenge, any pressure from the parliament. He walks in and walks out. Free willy. State of the Nation address, opposition to me as Soroko, is not a solution. You are protesting, it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't affect him. Obeba be in state to nation of address, of the nation address, or majority. But at the time, you what third force, as you are talking about, say, you what different parliamentarians. Independent. And now different, even small parties, doesn't matter. When we have that, about 50 our parliamentary, you see changes in this country. You see changes in this country. The
last time you were talking about a guy having a youth, a young guy who was also
Ethiopian.
Ethiopia. Now also there be Madagascar or a DJ, this jockey.
Yes.
No, but he came into the scene.
Yes.
And just lost an apple.
also just say and a former grand coalition. I say a politically immature, amateur.
We saw it in Ethiopia.
Yes.
Where Ahmed Abi.
Yes.
He came from nowhere.
Abi was a rebel.
Okay.
At 15 years from Omoro tribe, he had been a rebel. Got the chance in trouble. When he came, look at how Ahmed Abi is doing. 2 years, 3 years. The prime minister. Ahmed Abi was part of only 2 Mengistu government. No Muti Bush. The Somalia, Ethiopia, Omo problems. Those rebels. But Osadi system who said no. The only thing that can save this our country is grand coalition government. And when he came with that idea, it was an easy tree. And Wakomu in Abum and a young boy in Ethiopia. So he's just now issuing authority. And you're talking about progressive authority and your partisan authorities. Directing affairs. And the system is checking itself. Everybody didn't lemu. Obia ye Juma. He called all the rebels. That what are we fighting for? Meanwhile, he was part of them. Opinion leaders, religious leaders, go back to your community and take care. Make sure the people will get water for them instead of giving them guns. And no child deserves to be in the bush with a gun. Don't kill yourself. We shouldn't kill ourselves. Here we are. We have only one Ethiopia. Papa, there is a friction, but reconstruction. Country is coming back. But look, economic acceleration, the growth of Ethiopian economy now. Ethiopia as a poor, disaster, famine, poverty nation is so about the 4th best economy on the African continent under 2 to 3 years.
Do you see any young guy ever imagine and say, okay, youth, let's move, and the youth will follow him?
The young guys, you know, Omoba politics in Mona, Yadi a ratio, medical cassette, Omunu disache and cocrafon. Yeah, the only problem on the woo. Said the youth in a bamunu, you dread the chunk of craft for.
What?
Omunu, your wild chunk of craft for. But anyhow, somehow, I would also say, we will not have it in a form of a revolution, but we will have it in a form of mental transformation. One day, somehow, somewhere, somebody will have a second thought. Somebody will have a different idea. Somebody will have a different approach. Somebody will have a different spirit. Somebody will have a different feeling for this country that we cannot continue to wound the country. Corruption, we'll deal with Ghana. And then the Ghana's corruption or corruptible practices, or a resemblance, call it a twin resemblance of that of African. So you would say African corruption, but there are some few countries in Africa that have also done very well in terms of corruption, how they worked on it. You made a back or refer from 79. No. Ghana corruption, it's talked about right after our independence. And he said, if you roll back, right after independence, now Bruni I hand over. Bruni I hand over. But in going into our elections, and also right after independence, we started speaking about corruption. Way back in the 50s, 60s, and we started what is called stimulation of the subject, because that time they started amassing wealth illegally. Corruption, to me, simplified, a breakdown of discipline, not only in the public office, not only in the civil service, or not only, we have even corruption in our homes, in our churches, in our mosque. But whenever we mention corruption, you and I are thinking, or we focus on corruption, government, public officials, governance, executive, and most especially
politicians,
departments, agency heads. Now, so far all the parties are Abedi Ghana, so from independence till today, call it the CPP, call it the PFP, YD Abanso, but PNP, Dr. Leliman. Now become NDC with the MPP, that is of our time. Obia manifesto, the biggest agenda was corruption. President Rawlings spoke about probity and accountability, social justice. When he add the three together, President Rawlings was not mentioning corruption, but he was mentioning probity, accountability. The two of them gives you corruption. Social justice also is the same thing. Lack of social justice is also corruptible practices. Every day is how it works. On a normal basis of looking at what is corruptible practice and not corruption, one would say, your government official be, your the budget be a man. Onkoto adie, and answer on your contract to be my state. Obey your contract, you say, was 10% a media. 10% obey a very recognized, acceptable norm. All the parties in Ghana from post-independence. Omajia to say, see the contract in FIFA. As a FIFA 10%, emia the koto party ni vote.
Yeah, the finance party.
Yeah, the finance party. That is the beginning. That is where the whole thing originates from. Because it has become a permanent accepted notion, statutory, accepted norm, a practice norm, constantly featured norm. How do you control or official appointing or a department head? He's part of the party. He knows the contract gave to a FIFA and Co. And the FIFA and Co brought 10%, which was channeled into the party coffers. Autonomy fee. Now, Okoye parliamentarian. You sell your house just to serve in a parliament.
We heard some judge saying that.
So if you sell your house and then go into politics, convince me why that the love for me, the love for your community, the love for services to the country. A day the Bama wa Japadia wa bre udu si Kenya. Now also ton now the quiet primaries, which is called the biggest gamble of all gun games. One when what do you do? One no you know mabedahin. But not only Sam George, it has existed over and over. People went bank, collected loan from government banks, commercial banks, ADB, with collateral or with their name. Sometimes no collateral, sometimes with their big stomach, your mom loan or the real politics in Okoshi is Keniguye. So if the first year, the second time of 1 year, he's already indebted to people. It is an accepted norm. Say office now or crown. Again, say government official be. I'm talking about the political hierarchy. Parliamentarian. When election. Now show jubilation. As I was sir. I was sorry them I'm telling you. Sir was sir jubilation. Jubilating on platforms so we're winning election constituency no what you answer question so kuyeska. I'm telling you honestly, because selfless services and our due so you have told me, convince you and I say only the obano omeyeska and I'm boy obano yenimiza ne kai VW. Nadam for beer and Sifiaman. Nadam for beer and find a bank or college. Or abroad. 1 year in office. Nadam for the nema 3 in the tree school fees. 1 year in office. Ni VW Obia Channel Land Cruiser. Unidentified personality and we do not know the fellow. The church member be actually fee. And this country, I'm not talking about Africa today. We accept. Yakaso omunye den. Omunye access declaration. Papa, why ni action in excess of asset declaration after ni serving?
Yeah, remember.
But what you say?
Happy FM.
For no to chain. Corruption. Set a free for a pesuku. Na misumi pesku. Na you determine which school easy for FIFA to get, regardless say na aggregating ye as against mine, or mine weaker a FIFA stronger. Na metima penetrating. And to him, corruption. Mami chiro bibi. President Kufuor said, since the time of Adam, Rollins said, President Rollins said, probity, accountability, social justice. President Mills will say, corruption is with us. And you make sure, so by fight, you will not give corruption chance in his government. Zero tolerance to corruption. Okay. Happy FM. Then a presidential candidate. Whoever wants to enrich himself
should get into private.
Should go into the private sector. And that corruption, not my time. Not our time. It should the consistency and the build-up of all our presidential, including the speech of President Hillary Liman, including the speech of the military leaders, a Champon, a Kufo, President Rollins, all of them, a FIFA, your namesake, listen to them, Kotoka, all of them, listen to their speeches if corruption was not mentioned in their government as the main subject that they were dealing with.
The entire two cry because of corruption.
And I'm sure say they have featured all of them consistently, prominently to today. In this house, sorry, Newahi. Where is that mosque? Where is that church? Now this time, no, Abeya West. It is more of a big social canker. Rotten one, bad one. Now affecting gruesomely and a wicked. And nobody knows how and where I bit must stop us at the end. Because there is no attempt by anybody, with all due respect, executive, with all due respect, judiciary. How on earth, so we have 270 honorable men. Now we sign contract. Na country no as a judgment debt. How on earth? So Parliamentary pass it. Now Council of State. Now Presidency for advice. Ako Cabinet. Presidency. Nani nara get to this point and later say something was fraudulent with it. Now state. How on earth? Say, you walk even to the stand, say, your education sector, your employment sector. Not corruption, Kwani say, way Ghana, 10 cities, now the 20 cities. Corruption, they say, since you can't cry now, I'll be do honor. Saudi year, Juma. I like Nigerians for one thing. Nigerian former presidents. Yes, they steal. Yes, they are corrupt. They take money out. But good number of them, Ebia Juma, or your farms, or factories, or industries. Ghana presidents, Obienwa, yebu ne factory. Ghana president bia no free hasia yehu ne farms. Ghana president bia no yehu ne company. Share Nigeria Arik. President Goodluck. Is there any Nigerian who doesn't know sir Omunanidia? Ben machine here Jumo Kromo or come non-stop to America or South Africa and Nigeria for rate cheaper locally or sell. Yes. Obasanjo, the biggest farmer, crocodile farms, maize, rice, poultry. Or semi makwai MF poultry makrum hasi because team supply. Yet the animal dear in our farms. Why cocoa loss? Men am due for whom only cocoa nibi. Why are laws on tomato, taxes on tomato, or no tomato farms? Why are loss? Air taxes, at the Mabosoka, but on one cracker engine. Said this is to take the money free. And I'm not referring only to the presidents. I'm sorry. With all due respect to them, I'm referring to even within our own public and civil servants of high pedigree. You claim say, Omaria country in Sika. You will never see their company. And they will never open a company. They will buy properties, they will never enjoy it in a foreign country. They will deposit physical cash, they will never be a beneficiary of that cash. They will never build a school. Say my servo, my sorry, na my school. Scanner me via me di bia yi we say na a crony man enya bia ko out. Bajwa say. But we keep on saying say we are say who is to bring the evidence? Who is to bring the evidence? And where do you take the evidence to?
He who alleges must prove. The last time in lawyer Nibi Kasayoka said, if possible, when it comes to the area of corruption, Yemran should rather be that he who is alleged to have stolen should prove that he hasn't, because in the first place, minister na yesu wonu na ewies kano. Wonu na nkrata na original na nkasa wonu. This wonu ya on nkrata original na mra na yenhwem. In this case, what catch say me na me nkrata no so to me no. Me ko famra, where do I go and bring from?
Baba, they bend them. Even before they leave the public office, they bend the office. They bend them. There are a lot and series of time at Ghana government offices, government properties called buildings, Africa, Yashenu, up to today, fire department, Ghana investigators, police, all combined. Yintiminya one single property of Ghana banned. Yetimi the investigation about say, where there we know how it happened. It is not. It is only when the law is against the poor. It's only when law is against the weak. It's only when the law is against Obia, the voiceless. That is where Ghana law works. They are all forms of what? Corruptible practices. Student area school. Ebina mekano. Government agency create me fawomu. They will not confirm you today. They will not sack you tomorrow. Obi cry afa no. Now him without employment letter for 5 years. Whereas say state in the law crown H3. Say it's an offense to engage the service of somebody beyond 6 months without confirming the person. It is a corruptible practices. Obi the application about to her oba pay juma. We inviting Doko Mamia a corruptible practice. Okwa year no who take it no their mobile. Corruption in this highest degree. Or new sika. But no be share hotel room. It is sad. It is sad. Do you understand? It is very sad. But obi azo onye corrupt to her. And the most interesting thing, this very country is one of the country where worship, religion, Islam and Christianity. Friday, Maslach be a lockdown. Sunday, churches be a ma. Oh, my no near count was including myself, including yourself. Yet I are sorry paying for. Yet not front row. So why are we still talking about corruption? Why are we challenging ourselves to bring evidences? Whereas in the glaring air, I saw you when you came, and you saw me when I came. But I'm different in 3 days. The pattern was it to me, Cassie, as she share and the color, ebe toso. Say la free for gusu ye tuntum. Eh free. Say scapa ti many pa koko kama. Say ye color and tuntum no nye fe. Afifa. So the corruption, it is not any tree. And I first say, the white man that gave you the independence and left, our ma hand over notes, or my oath of allegiance, and all the oaths be also say beyond. We have still not, and I mentioned this anytime I have the platform, say, until we begin to swear oath of transparency to attach to our public, you know. And accountability, where must it end? It must end at the judicial to prove. When a dicromasca 1 million, our jail that long? No.
2 years, 3 years.
2 years with clemency, presidential pardon. Sorry, your pardon on medical grounds. But there will be the man the kidney or the prison 20 years. What I say, don't me any pebium the kidney in say, but ye in but obianya diabetes because of your state official 2 years as your man on medical grounds. And a issue ya Africa de yanka because ya problem yan solve. President Mills said you corruption is indeed. So Obakaya, Dutch president, a Dutch embassy. When His Excellency the President has a Ghana beyond aid, was he prefer Ghana beyond corruption? Embassies are Ekasa in terms of corruption, disrespectful to our presidents. Omunina, you have one way or the other, one ambassador, etima comment on corruption for Ghana. So Ghana would have been a nice country if people are able to do something with your corruption profile. India and Ebecho presidency cry no corruption. India, China, Eka say corruption. Ukroman Monshe Namunja corruption. But be a Bobu say or the Mawa, not the corruption out. And yet, yes, and you're corrupt. And to index them, Abrono. Yakofani 10 best corrupt nation Ghana in the African continent. 10.
What is the root cause?
The root cause I'm actually say disrespect and this lack of discipline or abuse of the system. Say oh yeah, any adinitum or yeah no nya punishment. It will serve as a deterrent measure. However, from your corrupt share, they corrupt nations to make their countries richer.
Happy FM.
Any corruption or corruptible practices in any disadvantage. Let us get it clear. Let us get this one clear. It is a negative word in governance, administration. But I can also tell you the flip side of it. Countries have been corrupt, have used corruptible system, corrupting other nations to enrich themselves. It's also corruption.
Is that what they call lobbying?
They will use the word lobbying, but they know they corrupt the system. Chinese come here and corrupt our system, but to them it's lobbying, but it's corruption. Oba bema official ska, na official waji, na odo yamano, contract any kwa so the more yamano. Okwa no aside the wo no sika no percentage na agen aside the account ho so mfa nkoto o ma To him, it's a lobbying. But at the same time, he knows you are corrupt. That's why he brought the money back to his country. Commonsensically, dabe ni besu enyansa. Me say, sikano, si ejimi nja ewia yenwia, ewia yemfa nye bibi okroma. Me methodology no.
We know some
untimi nja.
But munya some di ko gwa abure no.
Monfa sikano embi adwuma. The long-term effect, triple effect of it, and say, at the end of the day, no, the money you stole, I will be able to say you've stolen this money, it would have gone into certain developmental agenda, call it a business, corporate body, investment, that will give job, employment to you and I. So our kids, your brother, my sister, all of them will not be crying for job. Fire Juma. Nigeria from Obasanjo court da. Good luck yamfa ne court. IBB Babangida yamfa ne court. Happy FM. But sharing companies are in Nigeria. Shab Babangida companies or Nigeria. Shabdu Salam companies or Nigeria. But what I say? I said the richest man in Africa is Dangote. Yeah, shit. The shareholders and now say, Omwa, if you are no omu a year, you'll be amazed. At the Nuga Glow, show Omwa, sponsor no. But why they what a brand, Nigerian brand called Glow. President Biafra and man you say, Lydia, but or the baby sword the year, or the boy. At the yes cana, they don't give a political birth. Ghanaian politicians, they don't give what is called a political birth.
What does it mean?
They don't make anybody up. Because Nigeria forces them so we are or this can be man a boy. The boy need to be regimen. So they do things big. The country is into employment, but somehow they do. They try. Yet then they are raw cash, raw deposit, raw death. A number of them invest outside and die and leave the money without the family being able to touch the money. That is the painful aspect of the whole thing. And the corruption, no. Yet there no area who samo. Yea no a court. Yea no a court. Yea no a parliament.
Your judiciary no corruption or.
Yeah, so one can say no correct. And they say we for Chief Justice Bia Oba. The first thing I can say, or best sanitize the judiciary system and a fair balance. Into that statement alone admits the fact that something isn't right. And I'm a boy. Obia no because we are corrupt too. What is Obia Kabida? What the president be admitted say yes, my government was corrupt. What be that? Now me bisa simple question say. You have an immunity that covers you. So you will never go to court when you're out of office. Under your watch, your minister, your department head, your chief executive has been brought to court and sentenced to court, to jail sentence. So lack of supervision, monitoring and control, and never me and one yet. So you should have also been asked questions. Till today, no Ghana president say, obey sa clause nkwa efrim. Obianye.
Immunity clause now in 1992 constitution.
Yes. Abanye 1992. From independence at them. Lima tamne immunity no ho. Every family has immunity no ho. Military regime and military one. 1992 constitution. That's the constitution of our time that you know of. In recent time. But it has always been in there. Enti yancheno. Over corruption? No. Or answer question. What is nyankopo ye musa na sem. Onu ne bebu so asem.
Ama wo do so yachibi.
Oh, Papa. Dilula. Brazil. Cristiana of Argentina. Okay? Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay? Sarkozy.
Nicolas Sarkozy.
Yes.
France.
Oh, you can't call them. You can't name them. All of them, one or the other. Helmut Kohl was brought before court.
Italian Prime Minister Yanis will pay designer shoes.
Berlusconi.
Yes, 720.
Berlusconi. He didn't to your man sentence. So I got solid them. Over corruptible practice. What you to me? Or do cry there? Say you deceive $1,000 can and look around a day in the bar. What you to ye? Your present be no how could you not court to die? Until that day, until that thing happen, no state official no will be through. It's as simple as that. State official no will.
You think the solution to our corrupt practices is that you need immunity clause in free?
Then the
minister in court.
The minister in court. Because ministers, any chief executives, let's be very fair to them. Ya no massimareho. They send him to the sector, to the ministry. Now the complementary Adam will be their brain. You report to your master. Wanya reshuffle can and then the man sume. What are they saying? Wanya reshuffle can. Once your honorable minister, near started do nine soup or call holidays. What time ya reshuffle? Was say, Adiana de Bang, Fakakabra now so yibi. And if such a person is brought before court, and an Kajam minister who said, Domia Dilula, a man 8 years, and he is the development tool of the history of Brazil. No Brazilian president done better than Dilula.
But still,
yeah, didn't go too muye. You can find fee. Also, yare kwan ye chairman ho tony. Ye chain force ko bu ni office yini office e de no court. Adan ye di ntibije bi. Why? Nasty immunity ni dema president bi aso onyi. Nasty la mo ko chairman manifesto. My government will fight corruption. All fighting is say. All fighting say. Yem be the box of openness. Nana for a ma, ladies especially, emeka omo humiliation, embarrassment, harassment sexually, all in the good name of our big men, public offices, humanity. Yemye no meka, very alarming, very alarming. Obedne ne beda, I'm sorry, beda human onfano, and you're double corrupt. Obian who I didn't court over that issue of Krumha. Obian who I didn't court, what to be a wasam da? What to be da? Please say she back on this issue. And you see, that is where we are. We have an adjustment problem. Me a multi-tribal.
But ordinarily, Utubai, is that correct?
Me to buy a woman to Islam.
Ya Utu Islam, Mubai Santini.
Somehow it's me Santini. Yeah,
Kwame, please let me know that I have completed Zion Basic School in Agona Swedru. How can I become international relations man from Kakrabe to Agona Swedru? Senior Ambassador, as much as he is very knowledgeable, he is very hilarious too. Solid discourse. Generally, Santa Maria, one of my number 2 for me, the military, in fact, Supreme Military Council of Pawada Bay. Now, Yefanya dear. General number no will be a person joining a Pawada Bay movement, new one. And this time, the old one, no, I could be on to Kwabenya or say the Buafu or no, admit what just what where you will be a free. And they General Blake me. Yempo be our emotional disorder. And also, yeah, said any feelings then or act. We won't allow that. General Blake number is 0241 771 270. When you say about one piece seminar, nobody's forcing you. Don't come and be putting your MPPND system on the platform. We want to that is going to change the minds of the people to think in a way that will better Ghana more than it has been for the past 30 years. If you know something to be now MPPND system are trapping a mass soldier group on him, Supreme Military Camp, don't come there. May see number is 0241. Send in WhatsApp and call friendly be our girls or 0241 771 270. General blame number no. Or WhatsApp now or the back part of the group. Want to champion our better. We must be able to break the internet with knowledge. Eh? Anyway, when he say come forward, now Jimmy. Ah, boy, you answer all we have me. Microphone, come on,
okay.
Yes, what is on? Zina, yes, what is on the crack?
Okay, the crack and he said, we have only one country. Now, I've always said, I've maintained, Ghana, if we properly stay focused, is one of the richest nations in the world. I mean, take your opportunity in share Menanfophobia, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Koyan Puma, Ozus training, friends are mostly. Now, I'm person, but Madame Fukojan Puma, no, Germany, or not Hebiano. More friend.
Now, I don't offer that. I'm afraid. Oya Muhammad asisa to command me say is it no say what na me refer for there.
I see me do Frankfurt America airport all my family.